Have you ever just stopped and looked at a giant tree, or even just looked in the mirror and wondered, how does all of this work? Well, you're looking at a masterpiece of cooperation. And today, we're going to dive into the fundamental building blocks that make it all happen: tissues.
Just think about this for a second. Every single complex living organism, whether it's a massive redwood tree, a bird soaring through the sky, or, well, you, it all starts from one tiny single cell. And somehow, that one cell multiplies and organizes itself into a bustling city of trillions of cells. And it's not just a big blob, right? It's an incredibly complex, perfectly functioning being. So that leads to the biggest question of all. How in the world do trillions of individual cells keep from becoming a complete chaotic mess? How do they all know exactly what to do and how to work together as a team?
Well, the answer is teamwork. And that teamwork is organized into what we call tissues. It's really like a massive division of labor. Instead of every single cell trying to do everything at once, groups of cells specialize. They pick one job and become absolute experts at it. That expert team, that's a tissue.
We know all complex life is built on this idea. But here's a thought. Does a plant, which is literally rooted to one spot its whole life, use the same biological toolkit as an animal that's constantly on the move?
That is our central question for this explainer. So let's get into it. We're going to investigate the biological blueprints of these two amazing kingdoms and find out.
Okay, this table right here, it basically tells the whole story. The number one difference, the one that changes everything, is lifestyle. Stationary versus mobile. Because animals have to move around, they burn way more energy. So their tissues need to be mostly alive and active. Plants, on the other hand, they need structural strength to stand tall against gravity and wind. So they rely a lot on supportive tissues. And get this, many of them are actually made of strong, dead cells. It's a brilliant energy-saving design that even changes the way they grow. All right, let's start with the plants. We're going to see exactly how their tissues are perfectly engineered for a life spent in one place. You see, unlike an animal, a plant doesn't just get bigger all over. Its growth is focused in very specific areas, like the tippy tops of its stems and the very ends of its roots. These little growth factories are packed with a special tissue called meristematic tissue. You can think of it as the plant's forever young stem cell generator, constantly churning out new cells. So what's the career path for a brand new plant cell? Well, first, it's born in that meristem. Then it starts to differentiate. It takes on a unique shape and a specific job. And here's the key part. Once it specializes, it pretty much retires from dividing and becomes a permanent structural part of the plant. And this is what those specialized cells become. You get these three main types of simple tissue. Parenchyma is basically for storage. Think of the fleshy part of a potato. Collenchyma gives flexible support. It's the reason a celery stalk has those stringy bits that let it bend without just snapping. And then you have sclerenchyma. This stuff is incredible. The cells are actually dead, but their walls are reinforced with a tough substance called lignin, which is like nature's concrete. It's what gives a coconut shell its rock-hard toughness.
But you know, being strong is only half the battle. A plant also needs a really sophisticated internal plumbing system to move water up from its roots and to get the food it makes in its leaves down to every other part.
And that transport system is run by these two complex tissues. Xylem acts like a bundle of super thin straws, pulling water and minerals straight up from the ground. Phloem does the opposite job. Its living cells act like a food delivery service, sending sugars from the leaves down to the rest of the plant. Together, they create this perfect two-way superhighway.
Okay, let's switch gears completely. Now we're entering the animal kingdom, where the entire biological toolkit is designed for a life of constant action and movement.
So animal bodies are built from four fundamental tissue types. You've got epithelial tissue, which is all about covering and protection. Think of your skin. There's connective tissue, which, as the name suggests, connects and supports everything. Muscular tissue is the engine that drives all movement, and nervous tissue is the high-speed communication network that runs the whole show.
I want to zoom in on connective tissue for a second, because this stuff is the body's ultimate multi-tool. It's truly amazing.
I mean, just look at this list. It's wild. How can blood and bone be the same type of tissue? Well, the secret is that their cells are all suspended in something called a matrix. In blood, that matrix is a liquid plasma. In bone, it's a rock-solid matrix hardened with calcium. Everything from the cartilage in your nose to the tendons connecting your muscles and even body fat, it all falls under this one unbelievably versatile category. Of course, you can't have an active lifestyle without an engine. And for animals, that engine is muscular tissue. It's made of these special fibers that have one mind-blowing ability. They can contract and get shorter.
First up, you've got the muscles you actually think about using, your voluntary muscles. We also call them skeletal muscles because, well, they're attached to your skeleton. Anytime you decide to walk or lift your arm or wave hello, these are the tissues doing all the heavy lifting.
Then you have the silent workers, the muscles that run on complete autopilot. Smooth muscles are involuntary. They're the ones lining your digestive tract or controlling your blood vessels. You don't have to think about them. They just do their job, which is pretty fortunate, right?
And finally, we have a muscle that is in a league of its own, cardiac muscle. This stuff is found in one place and one place only, the heart. It's involuntary and it's engineered for one mission, to contract rhythmically, powerfully, and relentlessly without ever getting tired for your entire life. Just incredible.
So we've taken a look at the specialized toolkits for both plants and for animals. I think it's time we bring it all home and finally answer our big question.
All right, back to where we started. Are plants and animals built from the same types of tissues? The answer is a huge, resounding no. They couldn't be more different. And it all comes down to their way of life. One is a fortress, designed for stability and endurance. The other is a high-performance machine, built for action and speed. You see, this whole idea, this division of labor, is the secret sauce to all complex life. Cells team up to form tissues. Tissues build organs, like the heart or a leaf, and organs work together in systems. That layered organization is what separates a simple blob of cells from a thinking, moving, living creature. So the next time you see a tree standing strong against a storm or an animal sprinting across a field, just remember the millions of years of evolution that perfected these tiny, specialized teams of cells. It really makes you wonder, what other incredible forms of life might be out there, built on a completely different set of rules?